So in my last video, I talked about Bottas's move to Alfa Romeo and Russell's move to Mercedes and who could potentially fill the leftover seats. And in the title of that video, I wrote the word deserved in these things because, as a lot of people were keen to point out in the comments, the word deserved is lobbed around all too easy these days. But last night on Discord, one of the moderators in the moderator only chat that we have there posted a tweet by the F1 word that was basically, if every driver who deserved a seat in Formula 1 actually got a seat in Formula 1, how many cars and teams would we actually need? I was quick to think quite a few, but would it be enough to necessitate a return to pre-qualifying, or something along those lines? Who knows? If you've never heard of pre-qualifying, you're probably thinking, what? You qualify before you qualify? Unfortunately, that system would probably never work today because of the sheer amount of money involved in Formula 1. I think there is actually a cap now of 12 teams on the grid, or maybe even 13 teams on the grid, so 24, 26 drivers. But the way it worked is you'd have the worst teams over the previous 6 months, give or take, or any new teams, or any teams who added a car to their team, so they went from a 1-car outfit to a 2-car outfit, and they'd be in this session on the Friday morning. The top 4 cars and drivers from this session would go into the proper qualifying session on the Friday afternoon and the Saturday afternoon, as was back then, and then the 30 cars left over would be whittled down to 26, and those 26 cars would start the Grand Prix on the Sunday afternoon. This system was abandoned in 1992 when the Andrea Moda team was kicked out of the championship following that farce of that year's Belgian Grand Prix. So let's get the easy bit out of the way and name the 17 drivers who will already be on the grid in 2022, with the exception of Nikita Mazepin. So at Mercedes, it's the scary lineup, on paper that is, of Hamilton and Russell. At Red Bull, you've got Verstappen and Perez. McLaren is filled by Norris and Ricciardo. Ferrari by Leclerc and Sainz. Alpine with Alonso and Ocon, since Alonso has proved a lot of people wrong this season and Ocon won a race at Hungary with Vettel all over his gearbox for the whole thing. Aston Martin filled by Stroll and Vettel. And Stroll has actually got better since he came into the sport. He's still bang average, but he's not totally crap. AlphaTauri filled by Gasly and Tsunoda, although Tsunoda, maybe. I mean, it's Honda money, but still, we'll keep him there. He had quite the explosive start. He's teetered off, but he might, pick it up in the second half of the season. Alfa Romeo filled by Bottas and, well, we'll get to that in a bit. Haas by Mick Schumacher and, we'll fill that bit as well. And then Williams by Albon and Latifi. Although Latifi is debatable. I mean, he has done quite well this season. Fluke points at Hungary and Spa, but, you've got to be in it to win it, haven't you? So first we'll address Alfa Romeo, and there are a few potential candidates here, and they were all listed when Bottas was signed. You've got junior drivers and experienced drivers all out of a ride, so who do you take? I'm going to go with Giovinazzi. He's underrated, at least in my opinion. Won't be a world beater like Hamilton, Verstappen and so on, but he'll be a solid number 2 in the future, or the sort of guy who can get consistent results in a mid-tier car. He's sort of he's like a Fisichella or a Trulli or a Frentzen, that sort of driver. And let's be honest, his qualifying performance at Zandvoort last weekend was brilliant, but one result doesn't mean you sort of deserving of a seat, does it? So in conclusion, Bottas and Giovinazzi at Alfa Romeo. At Haas, Mick keeps his seat and he is joined by Robert Schwartzman. Now, Schwartzman's name is often thrown around and was in contention for the F2 title last season until Schumacher woke up, as he did. Schumacher did the same thing in F3, didn't he? He was nowhere in the first season, average in the first half of the second season, and then the second half of that second season woke up and went on to win the title. And if you Dan ticked him, that's sus AF. So Schwartzman and Schumacher at Haas, so as far as the real world goes, that's the grid filled. Now we need to see who else is out there. And to do that, we need to create a couple of teams. The Cassini Ferrari team based out of Italy and the Tsunami Honda team based out of Japan. Full marks and a cookie to anybody who knows where I've stolen those names from. So at Cassini, the first seat has to go to Hulkenberg. I mean, it has to. Despite the fact that this was a guy who got slammed in his final season with Renault that he'd had 10 years to get a podium and couldn't do it. And as soon as he was out of a seat, everybody was saying he deserved one and clamoured to have him back. Even more so when he replaced Stroll and Perez after they caught COVID. And joining Hulk, I've got Callum Ilott, which was another name that got thrown around with Schwartzman for the, as of the time of writing this script, vacant Alpha seat. And he's a junior driver with some promise, and his name also comes with the word deserves immediately following it. Next up is the Tsunami team. This one is going to be a little trickier, and the first person I'd pick to have at that team would be Kevin Magnussen. Yeah, I know. He got let down bigly by the Haas cars in the last couple of years of his Formula 1 career, and he's got the speed to do well in a decent car. Assuming this team I've made up is competitive, obviously. The hard part of this is who you pair him with. I had a look at the 7 lost drivers of the 2020 season, who were Grosjean, Magnussen, Fittipaldi, Aitken, Hülkenberg, Kvyat and Albon. Albon has returned with Williams, and I've already got Hulk and Magnussen with these two new teams. But to fill the second seat, I've actually been looking outside of Formula 1 to the world of endurance racing and IndyCar, and there are some names there that might be pretty good given the chance. You've got Patricio O'Ward, Felix Rosenqvist, and maybe even Scott McLaughlin over in IndyCar. And from the world of endurance, you've got names like Robin Freins, Matty Campbell, and even going as far to say Shane Van Gisbergen in V8 supercars, because SVG is one of those guys who's bloody good in whatever car you put him in. And there's also Nick De Vries, who won the Formula E title, and going from Formula E to Formula 1 hasn't really been done, but plenty have gone the other way. But this is more about deserving rather than, yeah, he'd do okay. So going based off who I think is a good driver isn't really fitting the theme of the video. This is more to do with who the internet wants filling seats. But like I say, this is a difficult one, and thanks to the F1 word for providing the inspiration for this video. I do hate that word. That's another one that's been overused in recent years. But as always, leave any opinions of your own down in the comments, because this is a great question and I want to see what answers, as wacky as they might seem, you can come up with. So, like I say, leave them in the comments and get a discussion going. I mean, is this really a pressing issues episode, or is it just a normal one? Either way, I like reading what you come up with. And while you're on your way down, why not like the video with a thumb pointing up in a vertical fashion? And for more like this, click subscribe and get that bell on so you never miss out on a future video. Big thanks as always to the good people of Patreon who continue to support the channel, and if you want to join them or just join in the Discord nattering, then I'll leave all relevant links for you down in the description box for you. So until next time, I've been Millward, have a great day wherever you live in the world, and I'll see you all again soon for another video. So until that next time, goodbye.